Buongiorno, anzi buonasera a tutti e benvenuti nel nuovo episodio di Un caffè con Franci Traci. Welcome to our super ABA guest. Benvenuti in questa giornata in cui parleremo di master e analisi del comportamento applicata ai tempi del Covid. Tracy, translate.
Good morning and good evening, depending on where you're watching from. Welcome to our esteemed behavior analytic guests today. We are going to talk a little bit about the masters in behavior analysis, particularly in Italy and during the time of the COVID-19.
Una prima importantissima differenza. In Italia si parla di corsi di master che sono successivi alla laurea triennale o alla laurea magistrale. I corsi di master dopo la laurea triennale si chiamano master di primo livello, quelli dopo la laurea magistrale si chiamano master di secondo livello. Tracy.
There's one important difference, that there are two different masters. Say the first one again.
The first master di primo livello dopo la laurea triennale.
Okay, so the first is the master's that comes after the first 3-year degree.
Yes.
And the second.
Bachelor.
I'm sorry.
After bachelor degree.
After the bachelor's degree. And the second.
And the second after the laurea magistrale. That is the equivalent of master in US and in English. That's the tricky point.
So the second comes after the equivalent of the masters in the US.
Yes.
Okay. And so it's a little bit different in that way.
Yes, it's different, and usually when we talk, it's very hard to explain to American what we mean when we say master. In Italy, master means something after bachelor or after a degree. And usually is 1 year or 1 year and a half or 2-year master, not more. And so I think it's important when we talk between Europe, in particular from Italy and US, to explain to everybody that we are not talking about similar things, but about different courses.
And you have so there are two opportunities then to study behavior analysis in a master's in Italy. The first coming after the bachelor's degree, no.
No, there is no degree in behavior analysis in Italy, and there is no professor in behavior analysis in Italy. I am professor. There is not in Europe. Shalha knows it very well because we talked about that at the conference in Stockholm. So all we teach behavior analysis formally are professor of general psychology or learning psychology or something like that. So there is no chair, there is no we cannot say chair, but it's not chair in English. There is no a professor of behavior analysis, and there is not a subject matter called behavior analysis. So I can deal with behavior analysis into my general psychology course.
So that's
at the university.
So
there is no department.
So any opportunity to study behavior analysis comes within a different discipline, either in psychology or in learning or in education.
And there are just 3 professors of behavior psychology who appoint themselves as behavior analysts.
In Italy.
And one of the 3 is me. And I'm going to retire in 1 year.
After some more coffee, Prof. Not now.
And the second is Rosalba, who is going to retire in a few months. And the third is Nanni. You met him in Enna. The fourth was Lancioni, who retired last year. So that's the scenario. That's one of the things that we try to explain to our US partners, but just a few understand what we wrote pages and pages about it, back and forth with Neil Martin, basically, without unsuccessfully. Anyway, what we can do now is try to figure out how to keep teaching just let me say one thing. Francesca said that the Italian masters are postgraduate courses, okay, but they can be both delivered by universities or by private institutions. There is no difference in terms of their legal value. The difference is the quality. The best, the most expensive Italian master is delivered by SDA Bocconi, which is not a university. It's a private society where the University Bocconi has a golden share. So they own, but it's not a university
recognized by the ministry.
It's not a degree.
And
anyway,
anyway, we should be positive.
In this mess, Francesca and I are delivering a program called Italian Master in behavioral analysis.
Beautiful.
Applied behavioral analysis.
The plan and the program.
Sorry?
Tell us more about the plan for the program that you're...
It's the same that the former approved sequence. Basically the same. We have some more hours. It's longer. It's 330 hours in 2 years.
Okay.
And Shalha is one of the assets of this course. We have three American instructors: Shalha, Phil Chase, and we had for a while Vince Carbone to teach verbal behavior.
So I have a question for the big and old, not old, but the bigger in this call. What do you think is the impact of these differences we talk about? What could be the impact? Because Italy is different from US. Is better to be in US or to be in Italy? What do you think about this scenario, Shalha?
What do you mean better?
I don't know. I am a student. I am 18 years old. No, I am 22 years old. Should I study behavior analysis here or there? What do you think? Some suggestion about this difference between Italy and US?
Well, what I think would be best is study in both places. No, really, because I think part of what happens working across very different contexts, like the teaching, I think it's been 7 years that we've been working together. And, I tell everyone, Paolo is my teacher, Francesca is my teacher, because I think when I go, I hope that I teach and share what I've learned, but I also learn a lot about behavior analysis, because when you're across different contexts, I think you can start to get an idea of what are the critical features, and then what are the variable ones that make life rich. So each one is a different context, and I think what one learns in both contexts is there's some overlap, but then there's some nuance that helps make your whole practice fuller because you've been in both places. So in the best world, I would say be in both places. But I also want to say that I think the quality of the master's students that I've worked with in Italy compares very strongly to the quality of the students here. I think in some ways, and maybe I have a very biased sample, but the students I've worked with in Italy, their ability to think critically and to generalize is very strong. Like they are very good at generative problem-solving behavior and very compassionate. And I don't know, again, if that's the group that I've been working with, but I see a real strength in the heart being what leads the decisions about treatment and long-term progress.
I stopped to listen to you when you say my new idea is to create a all over the world master in ABA. Every year, one student from a country, from a different country, a master all over the world, because I think in that way we can really take the important feature in ABA. So my brain is working, thinking to this.
What did you put in your coffee? What did you put?
I thought we will talk about after the meeting what I put inside.
Stop drinking.
So this is my, that could be my first question. During COVID time, I hope both your master still go on. And did you put some new ideas in teaching during COVID time? Do you want to share with us new ideas?
You want to go, Paolo, or?
We arranged with Shalha the summer school in June, so we slightly changed the program. First, due to the time difference, so we can start at 9 Italian time. We start at 4 p.m. Italian time. And so we made some changes. Shalha teaches Monday afternoon. On Tuesday morning, we divide the group in small groups and work for a couple of hours with the material that Shalha gave the day before, and so on for the week.
Yeah, so we'll have a lecture and discussion one day, and then the next morning we have integration activities and application activities of the material, and actually it's very high level people doing the breakout groups in the morning, and then we all come together again in the afternoon and then go into the next session. So each day has a theme and then corresponding activities with it.
It's something can give some new things to students, or is something because of the COVID we cannot have you there directly in Italy, and so we have to use the web. Can we learn something new from the web? How to teach ABA to students? Is there something new in the web, in the way of teaching?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think the way you've arranged the classes is different and new in terms of thinking about how you're going to work with the different time zones, how you're going to maximize the instructional time when you're all together, but then also provide some opportunities for the students to engage with the material and then come back in when you're all able to be together again, even on the web. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think one of the things that happened when I was there is that it always seemed like there was so much time that I needed to, that we didn't want to waste the time with me. So I ended up doing a lot of talking at the students, and then there wasn't a lot of time for integration. So I think in that way, the integration with the senior level, these are all senior behavior analysts that are doing the integration activities. So that time, I'm guessing, will result also in much richer class time, because then they will have tried and practiced and talked about things and then come in to the next class with more depth. So I think that'll be good. I think what we will miss is that one of the best things about summer school was the time during meals or in the evenings of just talking through things, or even in the mornings on the beach, but still talking and sort of processing how things were similar, how things were different. But I think our morning activities will meet some of that. It won't be the same food though. That's going to be hard.
It is hard to replicate that here.
And sadly, there is no reinforcer. Italian food is not a reinforcer available for the end of the teaching time.
No, just the company and the time. I was walking the other day and some of the flowers are out that are also in Sardinia, and I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna miss it so much. But I also have to say, I cannot stress enough how fulfilling it is for me to interact with Dr. Moderato and all of the people. It's a very special type of behavior analysis, my friend is here.
But we play this on Zoom. It's harder for us to hide.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a new question? Because I have the last one. Beautiful.
No, please go. I'm enjoying your questions. This is great.
I want to ask everybody, what do you think about how to communicate, to share ABA on social network, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram? What do you think can social network help us in sharing, in disseminate behavior analysis? In which way? What do you think about?
I think it's one of our main sources now for cultural transmission. So for being able to talk about behavior analysis, to show the applications of behavior analysis, to show its relevance now, and to get people excited and interested in behavior analysis. I'm learning a lot about social media. I grew up in the generation of MySpace, not of Facebook, and I guess Facebook is outdated, and I'm learning about Instagram now. And yesterday my niece has sent me an invitation to use Marco Polo. So this is going to be my new skill that I'm going to acquire this week, is what Marco Polo is and how to respond and interact in that way. So but I think especially given that our in-person, together physically conversations and opportunities are restricted now, we have to look in that direction for how to disseminate or to harmonize with other folks.
So a behavior analyst should be also an influencer in some ways.
I hope.
Shalha and Paolo, what do you think?
We use a page on Facebook to share some basic ideas about what ABA really is, and not what people think it be. I don't know if you saw the Facebook page Abautismo. Okay, so we try to, as I said, talking to Shalha, we are now in a market competition with SDM, then Illustrated model. They are doing a strong campaign, marketing campaign, to supported by an important public institution, just one, but they have they have somebody against them, because for many reasons. So in this case, social media are very helpful to share with larger people some ideas, basic ideas, misconceptions. For example, we published a page on relation in ABA-based intervention, that is pairing and a lot of things like. Because one of my theses is that child psychiatrists who have been trained in psychoanalytic field, now they feel they miss something called relation. They miss. They need to talk about a sort of I call it holy grail. You know, they need to have a relation. We don't fear to talk about relation, but we want to talk scientifically about relation.
We are making a relation now, so we are doing a relation.
I am contextualist, I'm interactionist, so by definition, relation is something very important. So we try to stimulate a debate in this field, and social media can be very helpful. And then papers, scientific papers, but first to catch the attention of the people, social media could be good. Of course, you can find everything on the internet. The no-vax, anti-vax are back again.
And so, Shalha, a more detailed question for you. Do you think in our master, ABA master, we should integrate something about how to communicate on the social network, how to grow up as do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. I think both how to communicate effectively, but also how to utilize different types of media. For example, visuals, just the way the pictures are, the colors are, what kinds of images you show, how you use captioning and music, like all of that in the instructional design and in conversation and communication is important. I also think we should teach about the ethics of it, because there are some things that we're all learning that are very harmful to people, and there are some things that are very empowering to people, so we should be learning about that and having some teaching about that. I also think that everybody is learning to do it better and to do it in ways that I think at least some people are learning to do it in ways that lift the world up. And I think that's really important, especially for families. As families are more contained, I know at least here there have been a lot of problems with abuse. And one of the problems is a lot of things aren't being reported because there's no audience control. There's nobody watching the family. So if social media and what we're doing can help give more support to families of children with and without disabilities, I think that's really important. Like, we can't forget how powerful the science is. And it's new and it's early, so there's a lot we don't know, but understanding what helps us learn, what helps us grow, can have tremendous influence in the world. And I think social media makes it explode.
And Traci, your last chance to ask something, because I promise next week, same time, we will meet and talk about ABBA and social network.
Okay.
Promise.
Right.
But you have your last chance for your last question, because our time is finishing.
Okay, my last chance.
Coffee is cold.
I'm sorry?
No, the coffee has got cold.
The coffee is ending. So my last question is, I think I want to come back to the way you've reorganized delivering the instruction for the masters. What sorts of activities, our audience often asks us to go into more detail. We say we're going to give instruction here and then have the breakout sessions in this way. So what sorts of pieces went into your instructional design or thinking about how to arrange what's going to happen in the mornings? So how are you priming the day before? What are you asking them to do? And then how are you looking to see if that's working?
Good question. So one thing that's important, which you guys know, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, is that any instructional program that we always think about, well, at the end, what should they leave with? You know, what are the outcomes of this instruction? What do we want them to be able to talk about, to be able to do? So we start with that. So that makes it a lot easier for the integration activities. And then we decide what readings will support that, what instructional run will set up for the students to be able to successfully do that thing at the end. So, for example, one of the things is within teaching, there are different instructional formats for young children. So I'm going to talk about it loosely as discrete trial, naturalistic methods, precision teaching. So we go over a little bit of some of the main features of those, and then we have them choose a child, and then they have to talk about how they would teach that child whatever skill is important for the child right now, using those different formats, and what the differences are in terms of the stimulus controls, the reinforcer controls, the environmental arrangement, who the partners are. So we have them explore fully like how you would walk out each of those instructional formats. And then we do the same thing with understanding the idea of a behavioral cost. The same thing with looking at parent training. So we have integration exercises that ask the parents how you would do an initial assessment with families to determine what might be important to the family to address during therapy. Is that enough of an example?
Yes. I think what you're doing is going to set a wonderful model for other professionals who are experiencing similar challenges and shifting the way that we used to teach to be able to still deliver effective instruction at whatever level the learner is and to be able to do that. So thank you so much for going into more detail about that.
I want to add one more thing. I'm going to steal this from Sigrid a little bit because it's part of her ABBA talk this year. But this idea of back to the future, one of the things that I'm seeing is this kind of old school behavior analysis reemerging. And I think what's happening is that you can't put a recipe down on someone. Because first of all, they can leave. They could turn off the Zoom, or they could close the computer, or they just not show up. But also, they want whatever is real and is actually going to help advance and alleviate things. So there's a sort of interesting contingency going on that I think we're getting a return to responsiveness and using still looking at the evidence base, because we have to have that, but kind of a return to basic principles and compassion. And it's beautiful. I love what I'm seeing. I'm coaching a bunch of groups around the country, and watching their clips is amazing. It's really, and I think that will come through with our classes too in the masters.
So, I am excited. I cannot sleep because of the coffee, Paolo, Prof. Moderato. And so,
time for the spritz now.
Time for the spritz.
Allora, tutti per lo spritz in Italia. Ci vediamo domenica prossima con un'altra puntata su ABA, ABA and Social Network with Shalha e Paolo. No, domenica non dobbiamo dirlo, ma è domenica che va in rete. Domenica è su YouTube. Quindi è sempre giovedì il meeting. ma domenica sarà su YouTube.
Ok.
So because it's time for spritz in Italy, we're finished with our coffee today. We will see you again next Sunday, even though we record on Thursdays, we post on Sundays. And next week we'll be joined again by Paolo and Shalha.
Yes! Ci vediamo domenica. Ciao!
Ciao.